All right. I hit this. You don't know how hard I worked on that little live graphic in the upper left-hand corner here to put the little red stuff like as a shadow. You can learn anything on YouTube, but when you're not smart like me, it takes you forever. But I figured so
it looks great.
I'm proud of that because I am not artistic at all. I'm like so proud of that. And then I went a step further. So Sunday night when Scott and I do a show, on the bottom right corner, there's going to have our phone number, so I can do that.
Oh wow! So people can call in.
Yeah. And then the next thing, I didn't do this today. I ran out of time. The next holiday, it's like 4th of July or something. I'm going to put like a little graphic, like a little firework or something. But I'm going to super get fancy. It'll look so junky because I'll get too busy. But that's the next step. Anyway. So we are here. I see some people coming in, and we are going to record Monday's podcast. We have Melissa, joining us. What did I just do? And she's down in Australia. So you guys are getting ready for winter. It's the autumn there, correct?
Yes, that's right.
So how's the weather in your corner of the world today?
It's not too bad. We're about 22 today. We're a little bit like Florida. We don't get so much of a winter here, so... Not like Melbourne and Sydney.
We're on the Fahrenheit scale. You said 22. I'm like, ooh, no, but you're you're like, I guess that'd be around the 80s or something. I'm guessing just from context.
I think so.
Okay,
yeah.
I'm like 22. Okay, that's freezing. I would not leave the house. Well, we get like that here in St. Louis, but that's called January. So I get it. All right. So again, everybody that's tuned in here live, what are the chances? 2 Aussies back to back. We go a decade and then we're just going back to back. So I promise you, we're not going to just go exclusively Australian podcasts from now on, but we could because it's pretty awesome. So who knows? All right. So here we go. It's going to be episode 2290 for Monday. And let's get after it. I think we're set. Notes back up. All right, here. All right, here we go. Welcome to episode 2290 of the Be Our Guest Walt Disney World Trip Planning Podcast. I'm your host, Mike Rallman from BeOurGuestPodcast.com and one of the senior agents over at the Magic for Less Travel. Happy Monday to you. Hope you had a great weekend, and we're glad that you're here to kick off another work week and that final stretch run for everybody in education, whether you're behind the desk or on the learning side of the desk. We're going to make it to the end of the school year, and summer is a call-in. Memorial Day weekend, this coming weekend. So make it there, the unofficial start to summer. And a lot of us have summer vacations, so we are counting down to that. But today, what are the chances? I'm going to call Alanis Morissette because this is the definition of irony, because we have gone a decade without having an Australian guest come on the show because logistics, right? I mean, other side of the world, time zone differences, international date lines, all that kind of stuff. And we're going back to back with Australian listeners today. If you remember, we had Sandra from Melbourne last Monday, and today we're connecting with another listener of the show, Melissa, down in Brisbane, Australia, to talk about her epic trip with her family just last month. So Melissa, thanks for joining us today. And you're a day ahead of me, so I hope that my tomorrow is awesome. Thanks for coming on the show. How you doing?
Good. Thank you.
Very
excited to be here.
I appreciate, again, the logistics of all this because I'm recording at our normal time on a Wednesday evening as we do for the Monday shows. And you're up, not super early, but it's a Thursday morning where you are. So thanks for taking the time and rearranging your schedule. That's pretty cool.
No worries.
So let's get into this. Like I'm curious because I asked Sandra this last week, and I'm going to ask you kind of the same question. What's it like being a Disney fan so far from, I consider Disney to be an American phenomenon, but I guess it's a worldwide phenomenon. Disney, California, you think of Los Angeles where you had the studios, and you got Walt Disney World in Florida. But what's it like being a Disney fan in Australia? And how did your connection to the company and how did you become such a big fan?
Well, it's definitely different here. We don't quite have the the following. Um, yeah, people don't quite, if they're not a Disney fan, don't quite understand our excitement or why we go back so often. Um, but yeah, there's definitely a Disney presence here, and it's getting bigger. Especially, we've had a lot of those Disney 100 stalls popping up in some of the shopping centres, so that's been exciting. And we have the Disney on Ice come here, and some of the Disney musicals are always popular.
That's interesting because I've always wondered that, like, if the Disney on Ice comes like worldwide, and I guess
Mm-hmm.
it's like Frozen, the show will come and
Yes.
play your ice palaces and ice rinks and I know today I had to run to the grocery store just to pick up some super exciting to get turkey because we were out. And as soon as I walked in, there was a big display for like this Disney 100 cereal boxes. And there's a couple different
Oh,
kinds.
wow.
I mean, I guess that kind of stuff markets probably worldwide. Maybe you guys get that kind of stuff too down there.
I don't know that we'll get it on our cereal. It'll be more like just the souvenirs and the little pop-up stores. But
Cool. Well,
yeah.
how did you become a Disney fan personally though? Like what was your like earliest connection? And I mean, Sandra I was kind of jealous. Like Sandra was in Australia.
I know.
She had gone more than I had. And like, I'm like, what's going on here? I'm way closer and she has way more trips to Walt Disney World and the Disney parks than I did when I was a kid. So tell us your backstory.
Okay, so I guess growing up, Disneyland was more like a fantasy. This place
Mhm.
you imagine, but you know, you would probably never be able to go. But in 1996, my father-in-law took the whole family. So there was 9 adults and 6 grandchildren. Brought us all over to the US, and we did Disneyland and Disney World. My eldest was only 11 months old at the time. So she obviously has no memory of it. And we just loved it. And while we were there, I just decided there and then it was going to be my life goal to one day bring my kids back when they were older. And it took us a long time. It wasn't until the girls were 17 and 15 and my son was 5 that we were finally able to do it, and decided, right, let's just do it before they don't want to travel with us anymore.
Right. I know that feeling. That's exactly right.
Yes. So yeah, so off we all went and we did Disney World. We did a couple of weeks in Disney World, stayed at Art of Animation, which was quite new at the time. And we just loved it. We stopped at Disney California on the way back and did that. And then in 2015, we came back again with my sister-in-law and her children. So all the cousins that originally did the trip back in 1996 all did it together as adults many years later.
That's
Yeah,
cool.
it was really cool.
That's really cool. Oh my gosh.
And
Wow. I mean, because the whole crew
was,
got back together. That's and see how things change
yeah,
and how people change and to reminisce and to come. I mean,
exactly. Yeah.
we're so far away. That's awesome.
Trying to replicate all those photos.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Because we've done that with Paige. Like the first time we went to Pop Century, and now that we went back like when she was 24 and did the same pose. With her little
Yeah.
pouty face when she was 7. Now she's 24. Yeah. Those are the best pictures though. Like,
Oh, yes. I love it.
I love that. So let me ask you this. We got so much to talk about. I want to try to get it all in. It's like an impossible task with as much as you guys did. But let me ask, because again, I talked to Sandra about this and I want to get your thoughts because I got a lot of feedback last week about this part of the show. And it's the logistics of just traveling literally from one
Mm-hmm.
side of the planet to the other to get this done. Now, she came as a solo traveler. You came with your family. So what would you tell people as far as, flying that far, planning to get there, packing? I mean, because you got a lot of considerations that we don't have. Like I fly Southwest and I'm down there in 2 hours and 20 minutes and it's not a big deal. There's 8 flights
Yeah.
from the home airport to Orlando every day. So what did you learn and what have you learned with such long travel in making it comfortable and just as pleasant as it can be for your family?
Definitely planning some kind of break in between getting to LAX and then over to Florida. The flights tend to get in very early in the morning into LAX. So in the past, we'd fly in and then we'd find a day hotel to rest, because usually the flight over to Florida wouldn't be till later in the afternoon. But this time it was quite different. We didn't land until 6 p.m. into LAX. And I thought, oh, this is perfect. We don't have to keep ourselves awake. We can get to the hotel, have some dinner, get a good night's sleep and be ready to go. But it didn't quite work out that way. I think because don't sleep a lot on the plane, but you still do sleep. And then we got there, went to the hotel, went to bed, and then 3 a.m. we're all wide awake, ready to go.
I can't imagine, because your clock has to be so screwed up at that point.
Oh, for sure. It took me days to sleep past 3 a.m. It just...
Yeah, because I'll tell you what, because I'd never gone to California before, for any like flown there ever, and that's only a 2 time zone change.
No.
Dude, I was messed up. I was calling home and I'm thinking, why are you guys going to bed already? Or like, why? I'm great.
Yeah.
I was screwed 2 time zones. You're such a wimp. Like, you're on the other. I can't imagine. It would destroy me.
Yes.
That's crazy. Okay, so. But anything like, as far as, because you guys were there for 3 weeks, you came to the States for 3 weeks. We kind of talked, before we started recording, we're going to talk about the Disney stuff, because you did Walt Disney World. You sailed on the Disney Wish, which is going to be super, important for our listeners. But you also went and kind of did some Appalachia stuff. You went up to Gatlinburg, the Dollywood area, stuff like that. So you had to have packed enough for 3 weeks. So what was it like as far as the logistics of just getting everything you needed and all that there and back?
It's a lot of planning, a lot of forward thinking. Okay, what are we going to need? What's the least we can pack so that we can bring stuff back with us?
Yeah, right.
We're lucky the previous times we've traveled, it's been winter over there. So we found this time so much easier, as we just packed a jacket for while we're up in the Smoky Mountains, and then we didn't need it again. So we weren't packing layers upon layers of clothes. So we're able to go over a lot lighter and then buy more suitcases over there to come back.
That's a good tip. I had to do that one time at a media event. They get like my first one, I went and they gave us a bunch of swag. I'm like, I don't have any room for this stuff. So I had to buy, my wife's souvenir was a, like, I don't know, it wasn't Coach or something. It was I forgot what they were selling. It was at the gift shop at Boardwalk, but it was like a $89 little duffel bag, and she got the bag. That was her souvenir. I was a little Disney print on it. I was like, by the way, this bag that I had to use to get the stuff home, that's your souvenir for the trip.
That's yours.
That's practical. Okay, let me ask. So, real quick before we get into the Disney stuff, though, what did you like? What was maybe the highlight of your trip outside of anything Disney that you saw? Maybe going into the Smokies or something. Was there anything that like you want to mention that you really liked about the States outside of Disney stuff?
Yeah, we did really like it up in the Smoky Mountains. It was beautiful up there. I guess trying to see a bear is something that's very exciting for us.
Yeah, I mean, you want to see it, but at a decent distance, and you don't want to be the slowest.
Yes.
You also want to be not the slowest runner. I mean, you don't have to be the fastest, but not the slowest. That's the trick.
Yes. We seen one from the like the chairlift, so that was a nice save.
Good idea. I went like right out of college. We did a road trip 1 year to Yellowstone and 1 year to Yosemite, these 2 national parks.
Oh, wow.
And
Yeah.
we did some hiking, and I was always scared to death I was going to see a bear because I was the slowest at the time. And I'm like, hey, we were not on the chairlift. We were on the ground. And if one of those things, they always told us, I mean, there were signs everywhere. And I was like, if a bear comes out, I'm just a goner. Cause like, I'm a big, at the time I was a lot heavier. I was like, I'm like a week's worth of food. They're going to see me and be like, this guy's bonus. We're going after him. Anyway, so, okay, the Smokies are awesome. I've only been to the University of Tennessee for a football game, which my Tigers defeated the Vols, which was awesome. But we won't talk about that right now. But let's talk about Disney, because that's why we're here. One other thing I'd ask you, though, I keep saying this. Sandra loved the outlet malls. She loved shopping in the States. Was that a thing for you and your family, or was that just Sandra?
Oh, no, definitely. We always slot in an outlet shopping day. That's why we were late getting to Disney on our check-in day, because I spent too long at the outlet mall.
You guys can have the outlet malls because I can't do them. Scott and I tried. We're like, we're going to save so much money. I couldn't. I'm not a shopper. I am not a shopper. Okay. So let's talk about your trip. So where did you stay, and just kind of walk us through like arrival and how you decided to pick where you stayed. Why'd you pick your destination?
Okay, so we started with Pop Century. I picked that mainly because I wanted to try the Skyliner, which was totally new for us. Wasn't there last time we went. And then we moved on to Caribbean Beach and then ended up at Port Orleans. So wanted to try some of the different resorts we hadn't been to, experience something different.
So out of those three, which one did you do? I mean, the Skyliner is awesome. I mean, we can probably all agree on that. It's they need that thing everywhere. It's so efficient.
Yes, for sure.
It's great. I mean, I don't mind riding the buses, to be honest. But I mean, the Skyliner is just, it's like, it's like an Omni mover. It's like the Haunted Mansion, or, it's you don't have to wait. You just, boom, you're on it.
Walk straight on, straight off. And it's just, I don't know, it's just beautiful. Like, I found myself just sitting there watching it when I was in the resorts, and I recorded a lot of it inside, and I play it back now. Do you remember listening to the words?
True Disney fan. That is exactly. You ever do that stuff? You are among friends here. No, that is perfect, because we all do that stuff. I'll tell you, one of the best places to watch, just kind of watch the Skyliner, is like an aesthetic kinetic kind of thing, is get something to eat at Caribbean Beach at the counter service place, and just kind of sit out in that outdoor area by the water and just look across the water there, and you can see the Skyliners going kind of with the Riviera there on the right. I've done that many times for breakfast. That's the best way to start a day. It's great.
Yes, we sat there at the little bar next to Sebastian's. I can't remember what it was called. Sat there having a drink.
Banana Cabana, I think.
That's it. Yes. Sat there having a cocktail, just staring across the water, watching the skyline, and I just could have stayed there all day. It was just challenging. It's so relaxing, just. And then being up in the skyline, it's such a different perspective. Having only ever stayed at All Stars and used the buses, everything always seemed so far away and distant, even though you knew you were in the Disney bubble. But when you get above it and see it all, like how close everything is, and where it was just totally different experience. Loved it.
I totally agree, especially when you go to Epcot. You're like, wait a second.
Oh, yes.
I didn't know the Back of World Showcase butted right up against this road. You think
I know
way over there, and you can throw a rock and hit the Back of American Adventure. It's right behind the gas station. You don't realize that stuff. It kind of gives away some secrets, but yeah,
it does. And the boardwalk.
Yeah, the boardwalk. Right, you're right there. It's
we'd never been there. I knew it existed, but I could never wrap my head around where it was or how you'd get there. And it was so easy.
Exactly.
Got on the Skyliner.
And Swansea Searcher, who is joining us here via YouTube as we're recording live, says the Skyliner jingle is his notification sound on his phone. So you're among friends. I'm telling you. Mine is the monorail. So when I get a text, it's the monorail chime. It's the, when the doors click open. So we all, I'm telling you what, man, if we were at a convention and somebody started notifying or texting each other, it'd be it'd be the monorails, Skyliners, buses, boats, whatever. Anyway, out of those three hotels, though, which one did you prefer? Port Orleans, Caribbean Beach, Pop? And if you had to pick one, anything surprise you about them? Just kind of real quick.
I love the convenience and the skyline of the other two, but Port Orleans was just beautiful. It's just a totally different feeling. I don't know that I would stay there if I was park focused, because obviously it's quite a big resort, lots of bus stops, and the bus is the only way. You just sort of felt further away there, though I did love that you could just get on the boat and go down to Disney Springs.
I always say that those two resorts are like walking through a postcard. It's that beautiful.
They are. And the horse and carriage walks past, and you're like, what? Like, it's just
And especially
beautiful.
like at dusk, and you hear what I like is just hearing the
Yes.
clip clop of the horses. You know, you hear
Yes.
clip clop, clip clop, clip, and then you see it, and it's like, you know, the little path winds because it goes up and down and it curves, and you got those bridges over the. Oh yeah, yeah, you're right though. I mean, the buses aren't perfect over there because at Riverside you got the 4 stops. I mean, that's not ideal, but it is, you know, it's a good trade-off. It's such a chill place when you're there. Oh, great resort. Oh, I could be there right now.
Yeah, beautiful. You could just go stay there and not do anything else. And apart from eat Mickey beignets.
Oh, for real. Oh my gosh, I've had my share of those. I do not need those right now, but I could use some right now. Okay, so let's talk about your time in the park. So you get there, you kind of get settled because we've got a lot to talk about. Let's just talk generalities. So highlights of your theme park time. Looks like on Tuesday, the 18th of last month, because you were just there last month. We didn't talk about. And tell us about your family dynamic, like who was with you, just so we can kind of get some basis.
Okay, so it was myself and my husband and my 16-year-old son. So my 2 daughters weren't able to come with us this time. So it was a very different experience not having them there. They're the ones that will cry with me when we walk into Main Street for the first time, or hear Beauty and the Beast playing in the store or at the fireworks, where the boys aren't quite like that. Yeah, so it was the 3 of us. So very different. And after having traveled in big groups before, it's not the same not having everyone there to experience it, but it was also made things easy to chop and change your plans. If we didn't feel like doing something anymore, it's just, okay, let's just go back to the resort and chill, and we'll have dinner there instead. Whereas when you're with other people, you sort of have plans and commitments, and
yeah, right.
So both ways are good.
Yeah, you're right. You can be a lot more efficient with 3 than 5 or 6.
Yes,
but
totally.
I mean, you miss, like 100% get though. I'm sure like a lot of times you're just thinking, oh, but I wish they were here to see this. I get that all the time.
Oh, and especially the fireworks.
Yeah.
I was streaming it live, and they were watching, and I was crying, and they were crying, and yeah.
I've been there. I know, because like when I go down for races, I mean,
yes,
it's not so much anymore because they get to go a little bit more off. But my family's super excited because they haven't been in a year, which is a long time for them, and so I'm excited. Absence makes the heart grow fonder. So I'm finally they're really talking about it. So all right, so let's talk about on the 18th. You guys went to Hollywood Studios, used Genie Plus. So let's just kind of talk about it. I mean, Genie Plus, was it I actually, this question's coming up next week. I think actually on this coming Wednesday, somebody's asking about the use of Genie Plus at the studios. Is it a good value? Would you just use it?
I thought it would have been. That was the only park we actually got it in, mainly because we wanted to rope drop the Star Wars rides, and also really wanted to do all the Toy Story stuff. But I think because we rope dropped, we got on those rides really easy, and then we got over and was able to do Toy Story Mania, and mainly just needed the Genie Plus to do Slinky. But we never ended up getting to do it because every time we booked it in, the ride would go down, and then we'd miss our slot, and then we'd book another one. And
been there.
And then we used it on Tower of Terror. Oh, and Mickey's Runaway. So it's probably it probably has the most amount of rides that you would use it on. I mean, apart from Magic Kingdom. But I didn't find it was the value for us. Because we'd got being there so early, we'd got most of the things out of the way early on anyway.
That's still my best advice to my guests over the Magic for Less, or just any friends that are going down, is that Genie Plus is a great tool if you're really trying to maximize your time and you're willing to spend the money. Like, I'm still one of those people, I don't like to spend extra money, so I counter that with getting there at rope drop, and I still think rope drop beats Genie Plus, but rope drop with Genie Plus beats all. You know what I'm saying? Because you can stack, and that carries it on throughout the entire day. But you can
exactly.
get so much done in those first 3 hours or so. If you rope drop, you're just ahead of everybody else who's not willing to get up. And so I'm glad to
Yeah.
hear that, I still can't say that enough, that if you're there before that park opens, by 15, 20 minutes, it's such a benefit. It just makes your whole day feel more relaxed. I feel, it just feels like you're
Oh,
not.
totally.
Yeah.
Just walking onto Rise of the Resistance, like, it was the first ride we did, and yeah, I mean, we had to walk through the long queue, but we just walked it. It wasn't.
Totally. Now you guys have Mama Melrose for lunch. I love that. That's where we usually eat before the marathon on a Saturday night. What'd you guys think?
Okay. Oh, nice. It was beautiful. Never been there before. Didn't even know it really existed. We had really wanted to do the sci-fi dine-in with the Fantasmic package, but it wasn't available. So I'm like, oh, let's try this one. And yeah, just a beautiful setting, and the food and the desserts, and it was really nice.
I don't think sci-fi exists. I can't get in. I haven't been in.
Yeah, it's impossible.
It's fake. It's all like the Truman Show.
Yeah,
Like,
it's just a show. It's just a sign outside.
There's people milling outside. They're all just actors. I just keep telling myself that because I can't get an ADR. Okay, so you did the Fantasmic dining package, and it's obviously you saw the show, and you got a little smiley guy next to Fantasmic. So it sounds like you liked the show.
Yes. Yeah, loved it. We had never, in the times we'd been there, seen that show at there or in Disneyland. So it was really nice to experience it, and not have to do the whole lineup, just have your seats there ready.
Here's the $1 million question, but again, it's recency bias for me. Which one do you prefer, the one at Disneyland, or besides the dragon or Maleficent burning down recently? Poor thing.
That happened while we were there.
Did you happen while you were there?
Well, while we were in Disney World, we read it on the news, and we're like, hope that's not ours because we're going tonight.
Okay, good. But no, you've seen Fantasmic on the West Coast, right? At Disneyland.
No, this was our first time seeing any Fantasmic.
Okay. So I was just wondering if you'd seen both. Yeah, because I love the one at Walt Disney World, but I like the intimacy of the one at Disneyland right there, because you're like right up there. And there's also a big pirate ship, which blows my mind away. But yeah, the one at Disney World is very cool too. So it's more of a theatrical presentation, which is very cool. All right, next day you guys go over to Epcot. So highlights from your Epcot day.
I just loved because the Flower and Garden Show was on, all the topiaries and food stalls, and just walking around. We just coming in on the Skyliner into that part of it, just beautiful. And of course we rope dropped again and came in straight into Ratatouille. That was fun. Had to close my eyes. Those virtual rides tend to make me a little motion sick.
Yep, I get that a little too, because with my glasses on top of the big, because those are some serious 3D glasses. My glasses are not thin either, so lots of magnification going on there.
Yes. Yeah, so it was a really cool ride, but yeah, I couldn't watch after a while. So we did that one and thought, well, let's get over to Test Track before it gets any busier. And yeah, we got over there and it was down.
You guys are having some luck. Between Slinky Dog, Sci-Fi, and Test Track, they're all in collusion to mess you up. Oh well, at least it's not just me. That makes
it happens to everyone.
Terrible. Okay, because I want to make sure we get Guardians is obviously the big thing lately over at Epcot.
Yes,
so it looks like you didn't do it, but your husband and your son did.
Well, I got them a lightning lane because I wasn't quick enough in the morning to get the virtual queue. So I decided to buy them a lightning lane so they could both go on and try it and tell me if I would like it, because I was really worried. And then, for some reason I trusted them, and we was able to get a virtual queue at 1:00 to go back in the afternoon. I was determined to try it. We're big Marvel fans, and Guardians probably, would be up there with my favorite movies of the Marvels. So I was getting on it, and it was fun, but I was like, okay, I've done it. I don't need to do it again.
Welcome to the club. Welcome to the club. That's hang on. There you go. Welcome to the club. Because I'm in the same pickle because I did it at the media event. We could have done it as many times as we wanted for 6 hours. And
Oh,
Pam
wow.
first wouldn't do it once.
Jeez.
I was like, Pam, we're at this thing. We're supposed to ride this and tell everybody about it. She's like, I'm not going on it. That's why I brought you. I'm like, I don't want to do it either. The thing spins like crazy. So she's like, I'm like, I'll do it once because you were nice enough to bring me. So I did it once. She's like, you want to go again? I'm like, no. But here's the thing, like I'm bringing my girls right in July and they want to do it. So of course I'm going to do it once with them.
Yes.
But man, I really don't want to, but I don't want to be, I don't want to be the party pooper either. So I'm already,
It's a lot of fun. It's a lot of fun. It's the spinning. And I think I freaked out because that bit at the start where you go backwards and stop, we're sitting there and nothing was happening. And my son was saying, this didn't happen last time. And I'm like, oh my God, what's happened?
Never believe your kids.
They told me this was going to be okay.
Yeah, they told you, oh, it's a piece of cake. No, if they say that, do not get on anything. Never.
Yeah, I should have learned that after Millennium Falcon when they told me, yeah, go on. You'll be right on this one. No, I was one of the drivers and had my eyes shut the whole time because I couldn't watch the screen.
I was fine on Smuggler's Run. I was fine on that when I was the engineer or the gunner. When I was the pilot, it kind of made me dizzy because you're right. When you're up in the front with all the screens, and plus Mallory was flying it, and we were terrible. And the thing was just like bang, bang. Just keep me off this. I mean, I love Star Wars. I mean, it was my dream to fly the Millennium Falcon. And like 38 seconds in, I'm like, okay, my dream has been crushed. Let me out of this cockpit. Like, good enough.
I can say I've done it now. Let me out.
Exactly. I've lived Han Solo's life and Chewbacca, and I can get out, and I'm good. I'm fine. Okay. Let's see here. Next day, though, just kind of skip around here. So you guys kicked off the next day with a little breakfast over at Ale and Compass. That's kind of a hidden gem over there at Yako. What'd you guys think?
Oh, loved it. I heard you and Pam talking about it and went, right, we've got to try this. I loved how it had the little buffet section, but then you also had your meal. So had the bacon and blueberry pancakes with the side of bacon, plus all the pastries from the buffet.
Getting ready for a cruise.
Yeah, that's right. Getting in practice.
That's exactly what that is. But then you guys headed over to the Magic Kingdom this day and did some stuff over there. You got to ride Tron. So you were one of the very first to ride Tron. You were very early on. So what'd you think of that one? And especially compare that to Guardians.
It was probably, it felt faster than Guardians, but not as, I probably handled that one better than Guardians because it didn't have all the spinning and up and down, and it was over pretty quick. But it was the same. Like, okay, I've done it now. I don't need to go back on that one.
I could do that one, I think, more than once in a day because it's more of like a straightforward coaster. It is.
Yes.
It's not spinny. It's intense, but it's shorter. Guardians is long.
Yeah.
Guardians is pretty deep. I mean, it's a lot longer than Tron. And
yes,
if
for
it
sure.
had been 10 seconds longer, I'd have been dead. It was just like, please let me off it. I was just glad. But I do like Tron. And plus it's more, I'm not a big Marvel fan, but I am an 80s kid. So I knew Tron. So I was like, okay, cool. We're going through the grid. Real quick, one more dining experience over at Magic Kingdom I want to talk about, and then we'll go on to the cruise. I want to talk about that because I'm actually going on the Wish here in less than like 45 days. Can't wait. Skipper Canteen. We never talk about Skipper Canteen. And when this restaurant came online, I thought this would be like the next Be Our Guest or Cinderella's Royal Table. We never talk about Skipper Canteen. Like, it's never brought up. What'd you guys think? Because it's kind of a hidden gem there in Adventureland. It's just there.
It is, and I didn't know it existed. I just stumbled across it doing some research and went, oh wow, this sounds really fun. Like, I like the Sixth Sense of humor on the Jungle Cruise, and to carry that over to the restaurant, we're like, yeah, well, let's give this a try. And it was sort of part of our theme. That the whole aim of that day was to go in late, have dinner, and just experience everything at night. So we're like, okay, we'll do the Jungle Cruise, then we're going to go here for dinner and then go on to the rides. So yeah, it's the same kind of thing. They crack their dad jokes, and yeah, it's a bit of fun, and all the theming in there.
Did you guys like the food? I mean, was it something that, I mean, when I've gone there, I mean, of course, I've not got anything super fancy. I think I got like tastes like chicken or something. It was just basic chicken. But I went just for the atmosphere, because it was like,
yes,
it was almost like eating in the queue of Jungle Cruise. You know, there's so much.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah, it was fun. It was a neat little place, but you just don't hear about it ever.
Yeah, no, it's good. Definitely worth a try.
All right. Time to talk for a few minutes about the Wish. So just in generalities, because Scott and I have both honestly tried to stay pretty spoiler free on the Wish, because we haven't sailed the ship yet. And, you know, you don't get to have many first like experiences with Disney when you're doing a podcast, and you know, you've gone as many times we have, and we haven't been on the ship. But in generalities, what did you think of your Disney Cruise Line experience on the Wish going to the Bahamas? Or some highlights?
Just the ship in general, just everything is beautiful. Everywhere you go, from when you walk in to the restaurants, like the dining experiences there were just, I mean, they always are on the Disney cruises, but these ones, the Marvel dining and the Frozen one, was just, was amazing. And all the food, there's so much food on there, and the lounges. Like, I just wanted to go sit in every lounge and have a drink, and you just didn't have time to eat everywhere and drink everywhere.
I know those cruises go so fast, and we're only on a 4-nighter, and we have over 100 of our listeners sailing with us, and it's just going to go. I mean, just blink of an eye, because you're like always running into people, and you just, you know, you want to sit down and talk, and, you know, 3 hours later you're talking with just 2 people, and like I wanted to talk to, you know, a whole bunch of other, and all of a sudden the cruise is over. That's in. I mean, we have a night cruise, and it happens like that. This is never long enough, because you want to get around to talk to everybody for 3 hours, and you just don't have enough nights for that to happen. Let me ask you this though about the Wish cruise. So what's something that you would tell somebody, you know, if you're going on this ship, don't miss doing this or going there? So, because I mean, I guarantee you everybody that's sailing with us listening to this podcast right now. So enlighten folks. What should they not miss?
Definitely the ride at the top of the ship, the water slide. We did it on the day we're at Castaway Cay, so we hardly had to line up at all, which was good. It was so much fun. And Joyful Sweets, it's definitely worth going in there. We'd sort of avoided it, 'cause it's like, well, we're not going to pay for anything we don't have to pay for. But you see the selection of ice cream, and it was quite reasonable, really. So we bought our scoop, and we sat there and looked out over at Castaway Cay eating our ice cream, and it's just an experience being in there.
Yeah,
it was a lot of fun.
I said the same thing about Vanellope's. I think it's on the Fantasy or the Dream. It's the ice cream candy store, you know, there on deck 11, I think it is, on that ship. And I was the same thing, like, man, I'm not going to pay for candy or ice cream. And it's like $3, dude. This cruise costs
it's just
$9,000, dude. It's $3. Get a scoop of chocolate and just shut up. You know, I was having this internal conversation with myself.
Yes,
like, dude, get a $3 scoop of ice cream and just enjoy life. You paid $9,000. Like, you're fine. Get over yourself. And it was the best ice cream. You know, it was great. It was, you know,
definitely.
Totally. It was cheaper than Dairy Queen would have been down the street at home that night. So good to hear. So the Aqua Mouse, got to check it out.
Yes.
You mentioned, okay, lounges. You guys are Star Wars fans? Possibly?
Yes. So we went into the Star Wars lounge, had a drink in there. Did that on day one, not long after boarding, while we're waiting for our room. That worked out well. There was hardly anyone in there, because I've heard it can get quite busy and hard to get in. So we did that first up. The Rose, that lounge is just, you know, it's just beautiful. and the way the seats are placed. So the seats are facing, so you look out over the ocean, and just sitting there having a drink, you just have to pinch yourself.
Wow. Oh, I can't wait. I love the ocean. Like, for somebody that's from Missouri, which the ocean in any direction, the closest ocean is like 1,000 miles from me. We are dead in the center of our continent. But man, when I see the ocean, I just get happy. And so my wife's not this way. She kind of gets a little spooked by being out there where you can't see land. But when I'm out there, I just love it. I just love hearing the water hit the ship, especially at night when it's dark and the moon and on the water. Oh,
yes.
It's gonna be super exciting. And that ship
it's like the Skyliner. You can just stare at it for hours.
Oh, you have me so excited. I hope everybody sailing with us is just pumped because we're going to have so much fun. All right. So
you will.
Let's jump back into the rest of your Walt Disney World trip because it looks like we have about 15 minutes left, and then we got to wrap because I know you're in the middle of your work day, and we got to make sure we get this in here. But you went to Caribbean Beach post cruise, which I like this idea. Keep the beach theme going. Actually,
yes,
I was making ground transportation arrangements for one of our guests that's sailing with us on the Be Our Guest podcast cruise, and they're doing beach club before the cruise and Caribbean beach after the cruise.
Oh,
and I didn't connect the dots, but when I called into Disney Cruise Line today, I said, "Well played, family. Well played." The entire time. And when so did the person at Disney Cruise Line said, "Ooh, this Disney fan knows what's going on." So the family up in Washington State that I'm talking about, you know who you are. Well played. So anyway, you guys go back to Caribbean Beach and checked in over there. Then you went to Animal Kingdom that next day. So talk to us about that day.
Yeah, we did end up, our plan was that, okay, that would be our Animal Kingdom day. We got in there, managed to get on Everest, and then we had a lunch booking over at Animal Kingdom Resort. Went to, is it Sanaa,
I think.
Yeah, that place. Yeah, really nice. The butter chicken, the naan bread, definitely worth it. We'd never been over to that resort, so our aim this trip was to see places and eat at places and drink at places that we hadn't seen in Disney before. So we went over to that resort and wandered around a bit and had lunch. And yeah, that resort is just beautiful. And sitting there having lunch, looking out, watching the giraffes walk past while you're eating butter chicken, like, it's just great.
That is a great place to go. I love going over because that's the Kidani Village. That's in the DVC portion, Sanaya's of the Animal Kingdom Lodge, and great food. Just a beautiful place. You can see the animals right there in the restaurant if it's daylight. Yeah, hours. You can't see them if it's dark. But good food, good atmosphere. It's so chill, and it's a good thing to combine with your Animal Kingdom day, like you guys did. But it looks like though things took a turn later in the day, though. First, the rains came, and then it looks like a little illness came too.
Yes, so we went back and managed to get on the safari, and then the plan was to, okay, we'll just line up and do these Pandora rides. But the rain hit, and it wasn't stopping. It was just pouring down. You couldn't even shelter from it unless you're inside the shops. And then both the boys were, I've got a headache, I've got a sore throat, man flu, miserable. So
at this point, you probably just kind of get exhausted, right? I mean, you guys have been
they could have been. I'd maybe pushed them too hard.
I can kind of see where this is going. I've been there.
Yes, I guess I'm on a Disney high, so nothing was bringing me down. They didn't quite have the same passion as me, so yeah. So we decided to call it, and because the next day was really a empty kind of day. I'd planned to do a bit of a monorail crawl. There wasn't a lot planned. It was a bit of a down day, so I went, okay, let's go back, let's chill, have an early night, and I'll book Animal Kingdom tomorrow. We'll come back and get in early and try again. So that's what we did. We went back to the resort, had dinner, and then back into Animal Kingdom the next morning, fresh with coffee, lined up for the river ride, and already the Flight of Passage had, I think, an 80-minute wait.
That goes so fast. I'm glad I don't like that ride because of the line is always insane. Oof.
Yes. So I ended up getting 2 lightning lanes so the boys could go on it, because I just knew after the virtual rides I'd attempted that this was not going to be good for me. I mean, I love the
We
movie
get along
and
well
I
because
love,
that's the same way. Yeah.
yeah, I love being there, but I thought, no, this ride isn't going to work. I'm just going to shut my eyes. That's going to be a waste of money.
Right.
So yeah, so the boys did that, said it was great. They said, oh, you would have loved it, but you would have been sick. So best not.
You would have loved it, but you'd have been sick. No, I've done it a few times, and it is an amazing. It's an amazing ride, but I just can't do. I can't do Star Tours, and I love Star Wars. It just kills me. I just can't do simulator.
It's like in Universal, I can't do the Harry Potter ones. They're just, and it's just such a shame because these sort of rides are just amazing what they do, and so realistic.
Yeah, dang, I know it's terrible. Okay, so I want to make sure so you guys did some time the next day over at Disney Springs. I like this line that you put in your note. I love how people put stuff in notes. Put the boys in the movies for 3 hours and shop. And it's like you threw them in prison or something.
It's like, here's your popcorn, here's your Coke.
It's like daycare. I love that though.
Because they were still a bit, they were a bit tired and wanted to go back.
They're on their phones right now and they're like Google Keep or their Google Notes or whatever they have, their Apple Notes, like, okay, put significant other and kids in movies so I can go shop. Next trip. That's so funny. Now, did you have good time over Disney Springs?
I did. I wandered the stores. I went to Joffrey's, got another coffee, just took my time in the Disney store. Was obviously in there a bit too long because when I went in, I felt like I was getting sunburnt. And when I came out, the sky was black. And I was like, oh, where did that come from?
Well, that's a sign.
Yes. So I remembered seeing umbrellas in the Joffrey's store, so I bolted in that direction, splurged out and brought an umbrella, and then made it to the M&M store and pretty much took shelter there for the storm because you couldn't have come out. It was so heavy. The water was just piling up on the ground and there was just nowhere to go. So yeah, spent my time sampling all the M&Ms and decided not to.
To be honest, you're going to have to wait out a rainstorm. The M&M store is not a bad place to get stuck.
Yes, it was good. It could have been very dangerous because all the ones I liked were only over on the wall. Like you couldn't just buy a bag. You had to go buy it and I thought if I go start scooping out M&Ms, we're going to have like 10 kilos of M&Ms in our luggage.
Totally. Yeah, that's right. That's true. I'd be like, I just spent $75 because I got stuck in a rainstorm at the M&M store, but it's all good.
Like walk away from the wall. Like,
I just ate my weight in peanut M&Ms because I love those things. That's why I can't buy them. Okay, I'll make sure we get through these other one. I'm just going to skip ahead because we got just a few minutes left. And I want to hit some of these highlights. So you did the Keys to the Kingdom tour. I love it. I've done it twice. So what did you think? I think this is an amazing experience, especially for like us.
Oh, yeah, loved it. So like seeing it from a different perspective and, they were getting ready to go out and do the parade when we were backstage. So watching all that and just, learning more of the history and the different things and then going in the underground, like that was really cool.
Yeah, the utility were amazing. Like
yes,
I had a picture in my head of what I thought they would be like, before I went down there. And it was totally not what I was expecting. Like it's a city under there. I mean, it really is like a city underground. It's crazy. It's wild.
You get lost. Things just go off in every direction and there's people everywhere. And
I mean, there was like that little pin station, like the pin trader.
Yes.
Window. I mean, like I was like, are you kidding me? Like, this is crazy. It was wild. I was like, I'm nerding out under here. This is the coolest thing in the history of the world. Who else walks under here? This is amazing. Okay, so you also did a dessert party that night for the fireworks. So what'd you think of that?
Yes, definitely worth it. just so much more relaxing than trying to nab a spot on Main Street and wait it out. And we just lined up early, much to my son's delight, that we lined up for an hour and then got in, and then it was still an hour and a half till the show started.
Yeah.
Didn't quite understand the whole purpose, but it was worth it. We had our seats right at the front, had our all-you-can-drink alcohol, all-you-can-eat dessert, and the castle right in front of us. And it is, the only thing I'd say is I would love to have then been there another night and watched it from Main Street, because you can't see all the projections and you can't see the projections down Main Street. But just to be able to sit there and relax and watch it was totally worth it. It was beautiful.
You definitely feel spoiled, like when you're at one of those VIP with the desserts and the drinks and stuff like that. But I've never heard anybody bring up that point, though, that you can get a better overall perspective of the entire show if you're willing to sacrifice all that time and all the hassle, of like,
yes,
fighting everybody off for 2 hours, for the perfect spot on Main Street or in the hub, wherever you want to be, by the partner statue, whatever. But
yes,
right, you do sacrifice a little bit of the view as far as seeing the whole like projection show. But I mean, it's still pretty awesome because of the other spoils you get over there.
Oh yeah, and then you're sitting right there where Tinkerbell flies over at the end. Yeah. So I just figure I'll rewatch it on YouTube where someone else filmed it from in front, and I'm going to sit over to the side here.
I'll catch it on the bus. That's a good point. Okay, one other thing I wanted to hit, because we're gonna wrap it here shortly. But the next day, you switched over to Riverside, and you guys went back to Epcot and did. It looks like guys did Guardians again, did some other stuff. But you guys went to Space 220 again. This is one of those restaurants I thought we'd be talking about like every show, because the question we got for years was, when is Space 220 going to open? And it never opened. And then it finally did. Then we never hear about it anymore. So what were your thoughts of going up the space elevator and the meal and the whole overall experience? What did you guys think?
It was very cool. We booked the lounge area because I had read the menu, which was very expensive, especially when we start converting it back to our dollars. And I couldn't see that there was a lot on there that we would have really liked anyway. So we decided we would just do the lounge, and then that way, if we didn't want to spend a lot, we didn't have to, but we could still go up there and experience it. The going up, it's an experience. It's very clever what they've done. It was a very, very hard ADR to get. I have to give a shout out to Kelsey at the Magic for Less, because
Kelsey's awesome.
She is. She got on there and got all my impossible things that I couldn't get.
It helps everybody in the States when you're on the other side of the world.
It does. It does for sure. And I don't think anyone else understands that when I'm, getting excited about time to book the ADRs, and then I've got my agent on the other side of the world nabbing them and getting excited with, what I've managed to book. I don't think anybody else really gets that here. It was when she got that booking, it was pretty exciting.
Virtual high five for Kelsey. There you go. Awesome, Kelsey.
Yes, high five, Kelsey.
I'm glad that you guys got to go there and had the good experience with the Space 220, because we never, hardly hear about it. What was it? Because I mean, you probably had an idea of what it was going to be like. But was the show, was the atmosphere what you're hoping for, and the food?
Yes. And I could have sworn we were moving, but that could just be me and my virtual stuff.
I hope you weren't, because that is a bill. I've seen the building.
Yes. We're sitting there, and I'm like, are we moving, or is it the screen?
Yeah.
And they're like, we are not moving.
Quite a few races. That building sits still.
Yes,
we did.
We were not moving.
No.
But it gave me, it just shows you, it gives you that feeling that, you really went up into space and you're floating.
That's a good point. Now, speaking of that, though, because we usually don't talk about like post-trip or rides home, but you were going a long way. You had a long way to go
Yes.
home. We're gonna wrap here, but you guys had quite the challenging trip back to Australia. So give us just a few. It wasn't the most pleasant ride home. So you guys had some turbulence. You had deals with luggage. I mean, just tell everybody about
Yes,
it. I mean, it's bad enough going back to reality when you got to take a 2-hour flight home back to St. Louis. I'm depressed when I get home. Like, oh man.
yes.
But what was it like for you guys?
This was very depressing. When we finally got to Port Orleans, I had an email from the airline telling us that due to significant weather events, they were advising that we didn't fly through Dallas. So they were giving us the option to change our flight and go somewhere else. The problem was, because I hadn't booked direct with them, I had to go back through my agent in Australia and try and get everything changed. So it took a bit, but we finally got it done because I thought, well, I'm not taking any risks. We were caught out once before, which caused a lot of on-flow effects. And even we can laugh about it now and have a great story to tell. Well, I wasn't going to risk, there's no need to relive that. Yeah. So I decided, yep, let's not take any risks. Let's do what they say. So they rerouted us via Miami. So, which meant it was a bit earlier. So the transfer picked us up at 8 o'clock. We had a 12 o'clock flight down to Miami, and that was okay. But then when we got on the plane at Miami, we got onto the tarmac, almost ready to take off. And they said, we can't fly into this weather. We're going to sit here for half an hour. That turned into an hour and a half. We were there for quite a while. Oh. Finally took off. And then I'm looking at the screen when they finally put up your arrival time. And it's, wow, we got 20 minutes from when we land till where we need to board.
Oh my gosh.
In LAX.
This is how little I know about any of this. I've only connected one time in my life. I've only had direct flights every other time. One time. And I thought that was like, thought I was on the Amazing Race or something. I was like, yeah,
that's how we felt.
Oh my gosh, my heart's like beating out of my chest right now for you. Because you guys
I was in a panic because I'm like, I knew we had to change terminals, and I knew there was tunnels that connected some of the terminals, but I'm like, if I take a wrong turn and we end up outside, we're going to have to come back through security. There's no way we're going to make our connecting flight home. And then it wasn't a very pleasant flight. They said they couldn't do the drink service or anything because of the turbulence. They expected it to last an hour. It probably went on for 2 hours. So that was not a very nice flight. And then we were sitting right at the back of the plane, and we're like, how are we going to get off in time?
Yeah, so make an announcement like, people who have tight connections, let them go.
Yes. And that's what the airline did. They announced that. So we're like, right, we're up, and we're basically going connecting flight, pushing our way through, trying to get off the plane.
Everybody on the way out.
Yeah. Thank you. And then it was a bit of a mad run, really, I'd studied the maps on the plane, going, okay, I think I know where to go. And then all of a sudden there was these people behind us saying, oh, were you trying to get over to Tom Bradley? And we're like, yes. And they're like, oh, good, we'll follow you. And I'm like, well, don't really know what I'm doing, but okay. So there's a whole
great. I'm like, okay, let's go. I don't know where I'm going.
At least we're all together. So anyway, so we get over there, and they hadn't even boarded yet because they were held up. So I was like,
you're like, right. Lost 4 hours of my life stressing out, but the plane's the plane's not even arrived yet because of weather or something. That's totally my story. Like, why was I even worried? I didn't even consider that could happen. I thought it was only weather with my one plane. Yeah, totally. That's me.
Yeah, that's right.
So did it get better?
So then it was quickly. We didn't have much time. We quickly grabbed a packet of chips and a drink, and then they were boarding us. So we hadn't really eaten. And then my son wasn't feeling well. So it wasn't a very pleasant takeoff. I'll put it that way. Mm-hmm. And then, so we just got motion sickness tablets into us and knocked ourselves out, basically. I think because we'd gone from that long flight and then straight onto another one, we were glad to get home. And then we got home and our luggage wasn't there, but we were not surprised. We said, Our luggage couldn't run as fast as us. There's no way it could have got off the plane and got
Your
over in time.
luggage could have been in Korea or like
It could have been anywhere.
like Sudan or Turkey or something. Who knows at that point? Like you're just like, I'm just
Yeah,
I
we're
don't
just
care.
yeah, you don't really care. You're just like, okay, that's fine. Just just don't lose my Disney souvenirs.
Yeah,
And
you worked hard. I forgot about that. Or you worked hard for all those souvenirs. Yeah, don't lose my stuff.
yes, it's like, do not lose them.
Yeah, as long as you can lose my dirty clothes. Don't lose my suit.
Yeah, that's fine. Yeah, so when they rang today, just the next day to say they had located 2 of our cases, I'm like, okay, what color? Which ones are they?
I'd be worried about my running shoes if it was race weekend and my souvenirs. Like, okay, we have my dirty clothes. I don't care. I can go get new ones. Oh my gosh. Well, this has been so much fun. And it's so,
Yes.
it's still like, I told Sandra last week that it's amazing that we have technology where we can talk literally in real time around the world about this.
Oh,
But more
definitely.
importantly, that we can, have this kind of friendship over Disney and get to be friends, even though we never met in person. I hope that happens sometime. We get to meet down at Walt Disney World or a Disney
Yes.
park or on a cruise.
One day.
But
We'll be
it's
back.
amazing. You sent me that care package from Australia, and it was the greatest thing. Our family opened it together and talked about stuff and researched stuff. And I got the little koala bear sitting here in the studio. That's Melissa
Every
in
time I
the
see
studio.
that, it makes me smile.
Yep, right there by the on-air sign here in the studio, which it's just awesome, straight from Australia. So Mel, thanks for coming on the show, and tell everybody in the family I said hello, and just thanks for taking the time. And it just means so much. I have a friend down in Australia. It's been a great show.
No, thank you so much.
All right. Well, don't forget, today's podcast always brought to you by the Magic for Less Travel. We'd love to help you plan your next Walt Disney World, Disneyland, Disney Cruise Line, or Adventures by Disney trip. Just swing by the website over at themagicforless.com. Please also use our Amazon affiliate link. It's at beourguestpodcast.com/Amazon. And thank you to our Patreon supporters. They get the bonus show. It's called Mike in the Midwest. If you'd like to join us, we'd sure love to have you. Come on over, patreon.com/beourguestpodcast. Join Scott and I on Sunday night, 7 o'clock Eastern, 6 o'clock Central. We'll be opening up the phone lines and you can be a part of the show. We'll be taking your phone calls and talking Disney, all the news of the week, anything you want to talk about, mini trip reports. That's game 2. Give us a call Sunday night, 7 o'clock Eastern, 6 o'clock Central for the BOGP open line on Facebook, YouTube, Twitch, and Twitter. And give me a follow on the social media at BeOurGuestMike, Instagram, and Twitter as well. We'd love to talk to you this week. All right. Time to get out of here and let you get on with your week. Thanks so much for kicking the week off with us. We hope you have an amazing week. Let's make it productive. Let's make it fun and make somebody's day today. How about let's all do that? So for Melissa down in Australia, I'm Mike here in Missouri. You guys have a great week. Stay safe, stay healthy, and we'll see you real soon. All right. That was awesome. Thanks so much.
Thank you.
Oh man, that's a good one. We're going to have a good show there Monday.
Oh, yes. A lot of fun. It's really nice to relive it with someone that understands all the things I get excited about.
That's why I have the show. My wife is like, just could you go talk Disney with people that get it?
Yeah, can you go talk to someone else about this?
That's why I started the show 15 years ago. That's why I'm here. Well, hey, I appreciate it. Hope you have a good Thursday. And like I said, you ever need anything, you know my email, and just reach out.
Yes, I will. All right. Thank you so much.
Hello.
Okay.
All right, I'll see you later.
Bye. Bye.
See you guys. Bye-bye.